This is how we do.
All right, guys, and so today,
Today we're talking about something.
fitness, getting in the best shape of your life in preparation or while you're in the military. Now, we'll give you a little bit of background about both of us, what we did in the military, and then we'll dive into what we think the best programming is or the best way to prepare for your physical tests, your physical preparation for military training.
So I spent 12 years in the Marine Corps. Almost half of that time was with Marine Reconnaissance, and the other half was with Marine Special Operations Command as a Marine Raider. So a little intense sometimes.
A little bit. So I recently got out of the military. I'm 27 years old right now. I did 4 years active duty infantry officer. So I went through college, ROTC. I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, did basic officer infantry course, did Ranger School. I spent twice as much time at Ranger School than I was supposed to spend because there were some recycles. Went to Fort Hood, Texas, did my time there as a PL, platoon leader, and then got out this past May. At my heaviest when I was in the Army, I was 230 pounds.
It's good.
It was good, and I was able to carry my weight. Like I was competitive running.
Yeah.
So like at 230 pounds, my best 2 mile time ever was 11:30.
That's good. That's great.
It was good, but it's like when I was done with that, I was like, oh my god.
You're destroyed for like a week.
Yeah. So like how I wanted to be was like I want to be able to run 10 miles at that pace and hold that pace
And not be like crushed.
and not be crushed.
Like you think that there's a funny story. We were in Thailand, and Recon's doing a bunch of patrols. They at least live in the jungle out there in Asia, and somebody saw a bunch of big like jacked guys, and they were like, "Oh, those guys must be the Recon guys." No, that's the Motor T guys. You see those guys that are like all emancipated and super skinny and scrawny and like looking very angry? That's all the Recon guys.
Yeah, 'cause field time.
Yeah,
You don't have time for the gym.
You don't have time for the gym. I mean, now it goes in ebbs and flows. Depends on what you're doing. Like guys, obviously, my biggest was when I was in special operations because of the job that we were doing and the weight that we were carrying. It just fit, and I don't care. I mean, I was in Ranger School. Like when you're at what were we at 170 pounds?
I got down to like 178. I started at 220. I ended at 178.
Yeah, 178. When you've got your 100-pound pack and you've got to pick up another 170-something pound dude, like it feels like your bones are just.
I was gonna say. It feels like your bones are about to crush.
Yeah, your bones are going to crush. But when you're at 230 and you grab a dude, it's like, whew, and then you go. And I see these comments and it makes me so angry. It's like, run until you puke, and then run some more until you puke again, and then just repeat.
It's that mindset of like destroy yourself, but there's no intelligence involved.
No, whatsoever. And I still see it to this day. As much as we've learned over the past, I would say, decade to 15 years of training in sports science and performance, people are still telling people just, oh, you want to get better at pull-ups? Just do a bunch of pull-ups.
When I was a platoon leader, we were trying to improve everyone's 2 mile time for the PT test, and I came across this Marine Corps study that was conducted over the course of several months, and they eliminated long distance runs.
Yep.
Have you read this?
Yeah.
So what they focused, and this is where I really started putting a lot of emphasis on my platoon, was VO2 max improvement workouts. So it was like hill sprints. It was 2 track workouts a week. One was long distance.
Yeah.
I think the longest distance was at 800 meters. And
That's
then,
long, actually, yeah.
Yeah, and short distance, which was like 200 meters, and then some 400 meters. But it was max intensity. So when you're running that 200 meters, it's as hard as you can go.
Right.
But then you rest until you're completely rested. So it's all VO2 max improvement workouts.
So in this book that I wrote.
What's this book you wrote?
This is this book I wrote. So actually all the long distance protocols is the same thing. So the work to rest ratio, so I think that one of the max runs is like 300 meters. Mm-hmm. So we break it down based off of the requirements. And that's where you started figuring out, I was like, hey, what is the requirement? 2 minute at what time? Okay, so break those down into what do I have to run at 300 meters or 800 meters to get that 1,600 meters or 3,200 meters the right time.
Yeah.
So what we did here was we did the same thing up to 300 meters. We broke it down and say, okay, so if you want to run an 18-minute 3 mile, right, this is what for the Marine Corps, then what we're doing is, okay, well, what does that time break down to at the 300-meter mark? So if I can get you to run 300 meters in 60 seconds, then rest 60 seconds and repeat that. And then over a course of, weeks, we continue to do that training. You never even run 3 miles. All of a sudden you go run your 3 miles, and your pace that you're used to is that, and you blow through it.
Whether you're preparing to go in or people that are already in, I hate the two approaches that I don't like. It's one, it's the cookie cutter program where you build the program before you even assess your team or
Right.
your element.
Right.
And it's like, this is what we're going to do for the next 90 days. Well, who says that once you get 30 days in, you still need to keep on that 90-day progression?
No, it's got to adjust.
It needs to adjust.
Yeah.
So like that's the same, like it's called auto-regulating your own workouts. If I go and do a workout, say I do a run on Monday and I feel like garbage. Well, Tuesday I'm not going to go and do another long distance run to redeem myself. It's my body telling me it needs some rest.
Yeah.
So you need to build a specific plan to yourself that fits not only your goals but your progress.
You know who Derek Witzke is?
Yep.
So he just did a post talking about like he has a stress test. He walks in the gym, he does a grip test, he does a couple different things, and if his grip is not what it is supposed to be, like what it normally is, or these other tests shows that he's stressed out or fatigued or his central nervous system is down, he's like, boom, 20 minutes on the bike, call it a day. So I'm going back in the Corps, or I'm joining the Corps or any branch of the military the first time, right? So initially, right off the bat, what are the requirements? Okay, just like with the cut that we're doing. Okay, what is the end goal? And this is what everybody I feel like they miss. They just go start something with no plan. So for us, and the way that we did our books is, okay, what is the goal? So then I backpan from there. Okay, so then I build a sprint routine throughout the week, and then I build a swimming routine, and then everything is broke down into intervals, and everything is broken down into intervals and basically sections. So like for instance, my strength days might be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? And that's going to be push-up protocols and pull-up protocols. What is that? Okay, so push-up protocol is I need to be able to do X amount of push-ups. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 22 push-ups for time, and then however long it took to do 22 push-ups, I'm going to rest that time, and then I'm going to do 22 push-ups again, and then rest that amount of time. And these are constantly changing, right?
Because what happens is that you progress. It's like linear progression, and then your body it taxes out, like your central nervous taxes out.
Yep.
And you plateau, and everyone's like, "Why am I plateauing? I need to put more work in." And as they increase volume, the progress it curves down.
Yep.
And you decrease it, and then you really feel it until you hit that point where it's like, "I need a break."
Yep.
And that's
and a lot of people are not going to believe this. They're going to be like, "No, that's bullshit. You just got to go hard and go fast and just keep going and never quit and blah blah blah." And sure, bro, you can do that.
They have a team.
They don't train like that.
No, they have a team that like watches every part of their training, their volume, their nutrition, their training, and they assess and then reevaluate and adapt that program based off of how they're progressing.
So that's exactly, to answer your question, go back to your question. If I was going back in or was joining for the first time, I would get a program like this or build it for myself now that I know what I'm doing. And I would start with the requirements. So I start with my end goal of what I want to finish with, and then I back plan from there and build that programming. And then so at week 13 I need to be here, right? This is my drop dead time. This is my test. Okay, so that means week 12 I'm doing this, 11 I'm doing this, and then go all the way back to week 1, where I start at week 1, where I'm doing four sets of 300-meter sprints at a certain amount of time.
And the thing I saw a lot of people, like when I was a PL, a lot of people in the whole company, they would do is their fitness goals weren't aligned with the Army fitness goals. It's like their fitness goals were big biceps, big chest, big bench press. Well, the Army doesn't care about that kind of stuff. The military doesn't care about that stuff.
No.
Your PT test ours was push-ups, sit-ups, 2-mile run, and you guys do pull-ups.
Yeah.
So if you're...
We do push-ups now too.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Push-ups and pull-ups.
Oh, man.
Yep.
So if you can, like, if you have these huge biceps and you can't knock out a bunch of sit-ups because you don't put emphasis on your core, you can't run, and you do that on your PT test, no one cares what you look like. Nope. On paper, that hurts you for promotions.
Yep.
It hurts you for progression.
I've seen it happen too. I've watched that exact thing happen.
Yeah, so like your fitness goals, you have to like take it with a grain of salt. Your fitness goals have to be in line with the military fitness goals.
But you're 100% an athlete, and you should train like an athlete and be treated like an athlete.
It's part of your job.
Yeah, but people go like, "Well, I'm not in sport. Only athletes are in sports." Well, no. If you're in the military, you're in a warfighting organization. It is your job to be physically fit and prepared to, basically fight if need be, and protect the ones around you. So if that's the case, if you're a tactical athlete, then why not train like one?
Yeah, because an example from my case, when I first went in, like my emphasis was, I was in college, I wanted to do bodybuilding and powerlifting. I wanted to get big and strong. Well, then you talk about building a plan based off your goals. and aligning your goals with the Army goals. Well, an end result of that training program is being able to do your job.
Right.
And your job
Right.
and your job is carrying heavy shit for long periods of time,
Yeah.
enduring some suck, and having the endurance, strength, and stamina to
Yeah.
accomplish that. But right now, my training that I'm doing, I would be in the best shape of my life in the military if I was doing this, which is it's strength, it's endurance, I'm swimming, I'm running, I'm doing some metabolic conditioning. It's very broad range.
You just did it late.
I did it late. I figured it out late.
Yeah.
I feel like right now I'm in the best shape of my life.
That's the way I was. So I figured it out. Well, I was, in recon, we were doing our thing, and I was in good shape. But I wish I would have known what I knew in my late 20s at Special Operations Command, because that was probably when I was in my best physical condition as far as being well-rounded. And I was also like about anywhere from 220 to 230, and still could sprint, run, pull up, pull, push, everything. But the functional fitness style of training that these are built off of, and the Raider Prep book is built out of, if I would have done that in my early 20s, I don't even know what I would have been.
And we see a lot of people do. I mean, this isn't just the military. This is everywhere. You find your strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
You capitalize on those strengths, and you keep doing those strengths.
Yeah.
And those weaknesses,
You just
you don't highlight those.
You just shove those under the rug.
That doesn't get you got bad legs. You're not posting a leg picture on Instagram. You're doing bicep shots. So it's the same thing. Like, I think it comes down to assessing where you need to be. Like we talked about your goals, where you need to be with your goals.
Back plan from there.
Yeah. Identify your strengths and weaknesses. Sustain your strengths. Work on your weaknesses.
Yeah.
But to be in the best physical shape, preparing for or being in the military, it needs to be a pretty broad spectrum of abilities.
That kind of methodology of strength conditioning, weightlifting, sprints, being well-rounded is what you really need to be.
And you look at CrossFit. CrossFit puts strength and cardiovascular endurance training together.
Yeah.
You can do them separate and still.
Absolutely.
You can go to the gym and you can do your bodybuilding strength workout. Then you can go do your run, and then you can break up that run into long distance.
Here's a good one. When I was at the Tactical Strength and Conditioning Facilitators course through the NSCA, one of the speakers brought this up, and he goes, "Okay, so say you go on a run, and I say a 40-minute run and your heart rate is 150, right? For 40 minutes. So would you say that's if you monitor somebody and you watch and you said all you had was their heart rate and it was 150 beats per minute for 40 minutes, what would you say that they were doing?
Just sustained cardiovascular training.
Jogging, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what if I set up 3 lifts at 50% of the 1 rep max, and I set up a bench press, a deadlift, and a push and a shoulder press, and it's 50% of their max, and you just did 1 rep of each one for 40 minutes, and I got your heart rate at 150 beats per minute for 40 minutes. Now are you not getting a cardiovascular workout at 100?
You are, yeah.
You are, but you're also lifting weights. So it's the thought process that people like, oh, this has to be this way. Well, no, I can get 100% get a cardiovascular workout and lift weights at the same time.
Dig a little deeper. That's where you can break up cardio into your high intensity, your low intensity.
Yeah.
Low intensity for active recovery or just sustaining.
Yeah.
High intensity where you're like, I wish I was dead right now. So like we said, it comes down to finding what works for you. Everyone's different. Everyone needs to auto-regulate and build a program based off your strengths and weaknesses, where you're trying to get to. So if you're going in, find out what they expect from you. What is the Army? What is the Marines? The Navy, Air Force, whatever it is. What do they expect from you? Because they give you the charts of, this is your age. This is how you get 100% in the test. Have a plan. Train smart. As always.
Never quit, never surrender, always forward. See you guys next time on his channel.
We'll see you guys.